The South African emerging women did a tour of Zimbabwe and they ended on a high earlier this week with a 5-0 ODI series whitewash. This evening, we have the opportunity to talk to someone who is not only one of the most qualified coaches in our country, but also head coach of the emerging side, former Proteas all-rounder Denisha Devnarain. She will be sharing her insights, tour experiences, and answering questions as she engages with our panel. All that and more next. A very good evening to you. Different time, different day, but we are still the Offside Maidens and the panel that you know and love. They're all here. Before we jump into things, let me remind you to like, subscribe, click that notification bell, and please do share your comments. We love to see them. Super Chat is live, so you can get involved in that way, of course. And if you love the content shared on Cricket Fanatics magazine, well, you know what to do. You can become a Patreon. All links are in the bio and on all social media pages as well. So go give that a like, go check that out and become a part of the family. Now for our lovely panel. We may have somebody extra joining us apart from our guests a little later. In the UK, they never really understand time apparently, but we'll have to ask Emily about that in a bit, the real Emily. So we have Alicia, our resident cricket player from Beja, and also resident juicer. You see what I did there? I changed the name now from Beja to Beja. And of course, the twins, cricket fanatics at their core, and Emily, who finds herself in the UK for a stint of cricket. And with all the rain out there, she is basically experiencing Cape Town weather. Well, at least the Cape Town winter. How is everyone? Emily, how are you finding it that side? You spent a bit more time there now and you've been out there playing. I've seen the pictures of you on social media.
Well, I'm glad you're seeing those pictures. It's been going well. Had quite a close game past weekend. We ended up on the wrong side, so that was a bit tough. But I was involved in quite a good partnership there, so I'm happy about that. Yesterday was quite warm, actually. So, I know you're dissing England weather. It only lasted a day, though. So, blue skies, clouds, wispy clouds, like no big rain, thunder clouds. But today we're back to normal. Cloudy outside, drizzling earlier. So, England summer is back.
Honestly, I am not dissing England's weather. I'm actually, feeling like I'm in England because right now, Emily, in Cape Town, it's raining. The skies are gray. I haven't seen any sunshine at all. There just ain't no sunshine.
Well, I mean, it's winter for you guys, so that makes sense. Summer for us. Well, it's supposed to be summer for us. So, yeah.
And Alicia, you're looking lovely this evening. How has your week been? Back at the training?
It's been good. It's been good. Not officially back, but I've been training. I've been training because some people made me feel guilty the last time, I even took it a step further, worked on the diet even. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Official training starts next week. So I'm excited for that.
When you say work on the diet, did you mean a juice diet? Liquid diet?
No. No. I cut some of the best stuff that I've been eating. I cut it out. So and it's been going well. First week I was miserable.
We are very proud of you, though. Very proud of you. And the twins, you guys are looking cozy there. How's your week
This was
been?
quite chilly. It was also quite chilly out here, but also
Yeah.
I think it was warm yesterday as well, and then suddenly it just decided to rain today. But yeah, otherwise it's keeping warm and
Trying to be productive.
yeah,
Cold
and
weather.
quite happy to see the emerging squad doing the fangs. So it was really some good news.
And on that note, I feel like I'm very excited, and I know we are all excited, and we should bring on our guest, Denisha. It's only her second time on the show, but we're very excited. Hi.
Hi, Tara. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we love that you're back in the car for the perfect acoustics for the show.
It's just about being consistent, Dave.
I love it. It creates such a beautiful ambiance.
Tara, Alicia's the resident juicer and Denisha's the resident car person. When she comes on the show, she has to be in the car. Like, that's just, if she's not in the car, then it's
No,
not
it
the
makes
show.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And she's so right. Broadcasting in a car works. It really does. 100%. I've done that before on the side of the N2. I've stopped there and I've done a sports bulletin on radio in the car because there was some sort of traffic incident and I was late to studio. So I stopped along the side of the road and I did it in the car on my cell phone and it worked out. So she actually has the right idea. I'm going to start trying that actually. So it's been a while, Denisha, and you've been up to a lot. The most recent thing being the SA Women's Emerging Tours. So there was one in Bangladesh, slightly marred by COVID-19 outbreaks, and the ladies didn't quite get off the mark in terms of wins there, but the squad turned things around now in Zimbabwe, where the ODI series was won 5-0, a clean sweep. So tell us about those tour experiences, and also I'm assuming you're very proud of this group now that was in Zimbabwe. You had a young captain and a mix of experience and of course youth.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely proud is one of the words I'd like to use. Look, if I look at the two tours, it's like two sides of the spectrum. We had Bangladesh where the performances wasn't there. And then you have Zim where we go 5-0. So we go for 4-0 down, 5-0 up. But, you know, I must be honest, it wasn't a fact of the results. So it wasn't winning the series for me. Obviously, I had to be honest where we were with our second tier of players. And I just wanted us to get better. So I focused a lot on marginal gains and I focused a lot on 1%. So, you know, a lot of people, if the results went the other way and say Zim was 5 to us, yet we improved from Bangladesh, then I'm going to take that as success as a coach. But it's always good to have a win. I mean, it creates a different type of vibe in the team. But I think the space that I work in, you know, I've got to produce the next Protea. And it's unfortunate that not every single one from that group will be a Protea. So it's something I've got to keep in mind. But having said that, I think the girls they definitely played a good brand of cricket. You know, it was exceptional. But yeah, really proud to see that we're improving. I think that's the most important aspect for me.
100%. You mentioned the Bangladesh tour, and it's not really about the results, but obviously learning. What would you say are some of the most important lessons that you learned from that earlier tour, or at least the ladies learned from that earlier tour?
Yeah, I think, you know what, I tended to focus on three aspects. The first one was professionalism, which we've lacked. We lacked that at a provincial setup as well. The second thing is that sorry about my connection. It's a little. I always have this
Was
problem.
I frozen now? Or was it you that was frozen?
It was me, guilty as charged.
Oh, thank goodness. Because I was like, oh no, my internet's down.
Yeah, so obviously the first one was professionalism. The second one was, you know, I found out that that the ladies weren't specific at net. So you'll just run a net session for an hour and it's just throwdowns or you just bowling. Whereas I had a difficult time with the girls and try to explain to them we've got to be specific in what we want to achieve. So, I mean, if you're struggling with strike rotation, strike just playing if we're just doing the cover draft, that's all we're doing. I don't care how good it looks, how bad it looks, that's all we're doing. Same with this, everyone says they're working on the sweep, but there's like 5 or 6 different sweep shots. Like, what about the sweep? So in terms of specifics, you know, the girls, they were challenged. I'm back. And obviously, sorry man, it's the signal is really bad. And yeah, the third aspect was game awareness. I thought the girls were really, really poor in terms of reading the scoreboard and what is expected of them. And it's still a challenge. I mean, we've produced really good results in Zoom, but up until the signals in the light. Oh gosh. Yeah. So until we try to sort of those 3 departments, we'll obviously look for other areas to improve. And I think the most difficult thing for me that I had to really concentrate on was creating an honest environment. The girls didn't like to be told like it is, you know, and it wasn't a fact that it's coming from a hard place or I'm being too difficult. It's just honesty. You know, we needed to practice integrity. The girls found a lot of excuses for their performances, apart from the fact that you're just not hitting enough balls or you're just not bowling enough balls. So Bangladesh was tough. It was tough on a lot of levels. But, you know, I keep talking about this 1% improvement, and the way I've seen that these girls brought into that honest environment. Actually, I promise you, even if we were 5-0 down, and if those girls still behave the way they did at the Zim tour, I'll be really, really happy as a coach.
During a tour or during a match, if a player is having a tough time or a player has been having a tough time for a while, how do you approach that? What are some of the things that you do to try and help that player? Are there certain things that you say, or do you take them aside and I don't know, make them do push-ups? I'm kidding about the push-ups. I'm just thinking of.
Yeah, push-ups is a great way, but I'll definitely damage my relationship with the player. It's actually, I've been asked this question not so long ago with one of the ladies on the panel. So you know, I'd like to, obviously this happens on a one-on-one basis. You know, I've got to pull the player aside. I would like to think that you know, I'm a very down-to-earth person, very humble in my experiences. And I think the main thing for me is that I try to do the same with the player that's going through a really bad patch. Because I tell you what, when you're in a high-performance environment and the results aren't going your way, you could feel in a very dark place. And, you know, whichever way I say it, there's, you know, I'll use different language with different players just so that it speaks to them. Is that having a bad season or having 2 bad games or even 2 bad seasons doesn't make you a bad person. You know, it doesn't even make you a bad cricketer, actually. So I just try to humanize it and try to understand that cricket is only a small part of life. You know, life is beautiful and there's lots of other things that we can see from it that, you know, there's lots to be grateful for. So then we just have a chat amongst each other in terms of family, what's good, you know, happy places, that sort of thing. And then I'll be a silly coach to not address the performance issue. So what I do then is, let's break it down, you know. How many balls are we hitting a week? Or talk to me about your thought processes, your training processes. What's your mental state when you train? You know, and I always try to keep it very similar or relatable to life. And I always tell the girls, I mean, you can't expect an A in an exam when you study for the C or the D, and it boils down the same to performance. And obviously, then there's did I say it again? So yeah, so there's different methods that I use, but that's one thing I do take personally. If a player is going through that, I make sure I'm the coach to obviously just make him feel that it's not the end of the world, but look, this is the processes going forward. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start ticking the boxes, and we've got to be stronger mentally because you're never going to have the form of your life forever, and neither are you going to be stuck in a rut forever.
Yeah, nothing is certain and nothing is promised. But how, in these times, because I mean, we really are in uncertain times, how do you keep the ladies motivated, not just in terms of COVID-19, but when Minister Nathi Mthethwa, said, hey, there's no Cricket South Africa, what was going through your mind at that point in time? And were you just telling the ladies, look, we push through, we continue, we train, that's what we focus on? Or did you have a different plan?
I was sending out applications. No, I'm just joking. No, I think it was very difficult, extremely difficult for me personally as well. And I know there was a lot of frustration with the girls and stuff. Talking Protea level all the way down. I think at that time the only message I had for the girls was to pray. It's out of our hands. It's not a controllable that we can control. So if anything there, I did definitely myself pray a lot. And I've always told them we'd rather be prepared and prepared for like a non-event, but at least we've been training, rather than to not train and then around the corner is them and we're not prepared. So thankfully that worked in our favor. But yeah, hopefully it'll never get to that stage again. I think it's just, I've got to be that coach that, especially in the domain that I work, is that I don't get to see these girls often. Most of the time they were the provincial coaches. So that, whether it's a WhatsApp text, whether it's a phone call, whether it's replying to their story on Instagram, I've got to keep that communication open, just so that they never ever have to feel detached from me. Because the next time we see each other, they obviously know how I operate. And the first thing is work ethic and discipline.
And I wanted to ask you, because you are in training and developing, and you are developing the new Proteas and current Proteas. I wanted to ask you about mental health and press conferences, because very recently, Naomi Osaka, who's a tennis player, she said that she won't be doing any post-match press conferences during the Roland Garros. Do you think that athletes should be allowed to decline? So she declined, and she will be fined for that. Quite a sum of money. She declined because she said, it's not really helping her mental well-being having to face the media after every match.
Guys hear me?
I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Someone just called me and I got disconnected from my earphones.
Oh.
Let me just connect quickly. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, man. Just please repeat the question. I really apologize.
Okay. So I was asking about mental health of players and press conferences, and whether this is somehow included into training, especially when you're training future Proteas and high-level athletes that will have to face the media. So I'm asking this because recently Naomi Osaka, who's a tennis player, she said that she will not be doing any post-match press conferences at Roland Garros, the tennis tournament. Do you think that players should be allowed to decline this? Because she cited her mental well-being as the reason for not wanting to do any of that, and she is being fined quite a sum of money for refusing to do these post-match presses with journalists.
Yeah, look, yeah, that's something that's becoming massive in sport actually. And I mean the fact that players get penalized for that is just really unfair. I think the more I deal with high performance players, the more that I can see like performance anxiety come through. I just see completely different people when it comes to the media. And at the end of the day, if it's going to be something that obviously players get penalized for, what we do at the National Academy, we do have media slash, I don't know, interview skills. So we get people in the media to come through and obviously educate these ladies about it. But I mean, if you look at that as well, National Academy runs 2 months in a year and it's 2 sessions. I mean, we're not going to get much if we're being honest, but what we have to do, I think, is obviously start the girls, I think, a little bit slowly. So maybe written interviews for the newspapers or radio where it doesn't have to be live. But it's something that I do believe we're not seeing as much yet in women's cricket. But just, I mean, if we're talking just about anxiety and stuff, I mean, I know a lot of players that go through that. It's something definitely that we need to address. And it's something that's actually close to my heart as well when it comes to stuff like that there. So we've got to put a plan or something, especially leading with the girls that I have, that that we can deal with these things better. I mean, if you're talking about Osaka, she's a world-class athlete. She just oozes confidence. And I mean, if she's battling with it, I mean, imagine how many young girls go through the same thing, and it's something that's never spoken about.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much. I'm going to open up the the questions to the panel, or rather open it up to the panel so the panel can ask you questions now, because I could ask you so many questions. You always give the best answers, so insightful. So I'll hand it over to the twins to ask you a few questions.
Okay. Oh, hi, Denisha. We meet again. Just a question on coaches. So, what kind of advice would you give to players or a player who doesn't seem to have a very encouraging coach? Yeah, encouraging coach.
Tough question. You put him on the spot. You know what? There's actually a lot of players that go through that. It's a difficult one, but I always try. I mean, if I want to, if me as a coach, if I want to have an honest environment, I tell my players a lot to lead by example. So I think the first thing I would tell them is to obviously create a conversation around why they're unhappy, or why the coach is a certain way. Because I honestly believe most problems, and it's not just in cricket, I think it's in life, is communication. I think they don't speak enough and truthfully enough to get better results. I mean, and sometimes there's situations where players do that and it's still the same end result, and then it becomes my problem. So then I get involved as a coach. And if it still doesn't change, then the best thing to do is maybe move to a club. If it's provincial cricket, maybe move to another province. And if it's a national problem,
There's just a little bit of technical difficulties. You were frozen for just a few seconds there, Denisha. Maybe you're still frozen.
am I still frozen?
Okay, no, now you're not frozen, but we missed the last part of your answer there.
Yeah, so I was just talking obviously about if it's a club problem, maybe if the problem still persists after communication, after someone else gets involved, and the problem still persists, and the coach is just not budging. And if you're in a club, then maybe change clubs. Um, if you're in a province, maybe change different provinces if you're really serious about your cricket. And yeah, if it's a national problem, then you're gonna have to try and get citizenship somewhere else.
I think that's been done. Twins, do you have any more questions you'd like to ask?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I think this one I just kind of thought now up on the fly. So I just wanted to know what kind of mindset or thought processes goes into the selection process. So how do you decide what players plays for the squad, who gets put off for rest or whatever? So maybe just elaborate a bit about that whole selection process, I
Okay, I have a confession, right?
think.
These earphones didn't connect yet. So I'm trying to listen
Oh,
off the phone. And I
okay.
didn't pick up that question.
Okay.
So
Say
I'm
it
gonna
again.
try and listen closely. Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So my question is, I would like to know what goes into the selection process. So, what is the mindset? Is there a philosophy or is there a specific thinking? So, when choosing certain players for a squad or putting some off to rest and stuff like that. So, what is, yeah, if you could elaborate a bit more about what goes into the selection process.
Good question. So I do have a selection panel, which is your convener of selectors. I have three of them, and then obviously the national head coach, which is Hilton Moring. He helps me in the selection process as well. But so we obviously look at what the national team is lacking of. So we take a lot of things into account. Um, it could be age, it could be EPG targets, it could be a specific skill. I mean, if you look at wicketkeeper batters, it's something that we're really struggling with. So what we try to do with the emerging and national academy setup is to try and bridge that gap. So if we know, like, if 3 or 4 players are they're near to the end of their careers at the national side, then we try and find a depth as to who's going to fill those shoes. And through PDP processes and the PPP processes, we try and bridge that gap so that they come through the National Academy, the SAA setup, and hopefully by the time that that player had retired, um, we can obviously like move them through the system. Um, and then if you're talking about like selection on the playing 11, I can only speak for myself. This is that body language and presence is a massive thing for me. So what goes on in the nets, how you carry yourselves out at warm-ups, that sort of vibes, that helps a lot. Especially in high performance environments, because you sort of like everyone's a legend in the game there, or everyone's, they've got good skill. So it boils down to the fact that, you've got to look at on the day or at that time who's going to give you 150%.
Oh, thank you, twins, for those questions. I'm going to move on over to Alicia for Alicia to ask a few questions.
Jeez, I forgot all my questions just listening. um, actually, no, I remember. So with the emerging squad, the way they performed in Zim, like one thing I really picked up was the way you utilized your players, and that's something that I was really excited about because that's something that we've been lacking as Cricket South Africa. I just want to know how do you think we can improve utilization of our youngsters? Like for example, a favorite of ours, Calvarena. We don't, some of us don't feel like he's being utilized properly, you know. So how do you think we can improve on that, like on different levels, provincial, club, and national?
Yeah, that's also that's really a good question. I tell you why it's good is what you find with most coaches is they measure success on results. So they stick with what they know. They stick with what they know that the player is going to give you. And what I've done differently, and I'm glad that that you've picked it up, or South Africa has picked it up, is the fact that I treated every single player there coming in that team with no average, no nothing. They're just a bunch of new girls. And the first thing there, when I got there, I said, no one's guaranteed 5 games of cricket here. That's not how we operate in this environment. We don't win World Cups in this environment. We don't win big series here. We are here for development. And development means equal opportunity. So, and when I say equal opportunity, I mean, if you a bowler, you bowl 10 overs. That's you. I don't care whether you get it for 90 runs or 9 runs. If you're a bowler, you bowl your allotted overs. If you're a batter, you need to accept responsibility, and you've got to seal your spot. You've got an opportunity to prove yourself. You go out there and do it. So I worked that selection criteria based on obviously how many. I try to get each bowler bowling the closest amount of overs together, and then obviously the batters as well. So we did have sorry. So we did have like an imbalance in terms of, like, we had Andre Stein. I mean, she just wanted to bat, and she just wanted to bat a lot. And obviously, it's difficult because then you say, she says she's got 200s, she's got a 50. Well, I don't want to draw, I don't want to sit out because I'm not a national contracted player. I've been missing out on series. This is my opportunity to make a lot of those runs. But I think the environment that we created there in the emerging setup was outstanding. The fact when I announced the team on the fifth ODI, and obviously Nondumiso Shangase captained the team, the first thing Andre Stein did was clap hands. She was ecstatic, and that's the environment I actually wanted to create, is that, we're happy for each other. Whoever gets the opportunity, whoever's batting here, and if it's not me, we create that. And it's actually a lot of testament to the girls for buying into, what I want. I mean, my advice to all coaches, or most coaches, would be the fact that spend time on players that need it, because this game will last forever. No player is going to last as long as this game. No coach is going to last as long as this game. The game is always going to go on forever, and one day you will be forgotten. You will be forgotten. But if you can leave like a legacy of treating people right and making them feel like they are the best that they can be, and they pass that on, and they pass that on, then that's a legacy you'd want to leave. It shouldn't be your name. It's sort of like how you make players feel. That should always live on through the years.
I think you're gonna be one of those people that we remember forever. I know I am.
You're making me blush now.
I have one more question. So you obviously initially retired from the game in 2013, if I remember correctly, but then came back and then retired again in 2016. I just want to know, how did you know that that was the right time to walk away from the game as a player and make that transition into a coach?
Yeah, you're correct. I actually retired in 2013. That wasn't a decision made by myself. I obviously went through something really difficult. I was in India at the World Cup, and I lost my baby sister in a car accident. So I just didn't want anything to do with cricket at the time. And then 2014, 2015, I sort of got back into cricket. I've been offered the provincial women's, the KZN women's head coach role, but I still wanted to play. I think if you ever ask me that question, I'll always want to play. A really good season for KZN cricket. Yeah, so then, like, I had a really good season for them. I think I averaged 98 with the bat. And actually, when I retired, I was an opening bowler. I came back into the team as a top order batter, and I started bowling off spin. So
Goals.
I don't know, but yeah. So that's another 2 years. I was fortunate enough to be one of the contracted players. I'm really grateful and blessed. But then it just got to a point where, you know, I was getting closer to 30, and you know, it was very conscious. I tried the studying route. As soon as I got out of school, I got a financial degree. And then in 2017, I graduated with a human resource management degree. And I said I'll keep studying, you know, like hopefully I'll find my purpose and my goal as we go along. And the more I was coaching, the more I realized that this is my purpose. You know, I feel like this is what I was made to do. And a lot of people ask me, so you know, you feel like you're a World Cup winning coach, and and it's not the World Cup winning coach. You know, I believe I am in a position to change lives, and that's what drives me as a person. I'm just fortunate that I can do it with the sport that I love. Um, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever want to stop playing. Like I'll still play club cricket now, but I do believe, you know, I can give a lot back through coaching, and it's just giving girls a platform to be the person that they're meant to be.
Thank you. So don't you want to come to EP? You know.
I somehow knew that was coming.
I'll make a turn. I'll make a turn soon.
I'm done now. Thank you.
Well, let's move on to Emily, who's been waiting in anticipation. Emily.
I think everyone's asked all my questions. But Denisha, you mentioned it earlier, but I don't know if it has the same answer or different answer. But so coming, you know, off the back of the Bangladesh series, you know, obviously losing that one and then winning this one emphatically, was it just a sense of there needs to be a mindset shift, or was, because you mentioned that like the goals, you know, struggling with things being said how they are and all those things. So was it a mindset shift, or was it just that you needed to do the basics and needed to perform in the three departments better, batting, bowling, fielding? So yeah, was it both? Maybe a combination of both. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Em. I tell you what, it was. I had to sort of break down the girls emotionally, and when I say break them down emotionally, it was just to make them understand of what they were doing. You know, you've got 7 days in a week, and I've got a high performance girl, emerging player, training once a week, an hour. But it does. So first it was the ugly bit, and I introduced a KPI document. So a KPI document is a key performance indicator, and I introduced it to these girls, and they were unfamiliar with it, which is fine. So I just like sort of planted that seed there. So whatever performances that was happening on the field, it was in this KPI document. You know, and the KPI document addresses batting, bowling, and fielding. And it's just benchmarks that you would like to achieve. So after every game, and we'll be poor. We'll probably pass in maybe 25% to 30% on this KPI. And it's a really simple, basic KPI document. So the seed, I think, was planted then, but then it didn't drop just yet. And then it was the work ethic. I changed a lot. So as soon as we got back, I would text the girls every day to find out, are you hitting balls? How many balls are you hitting? And at a 35. Yeah,
Wait,
so
sorry.
now when I have conversations with girls, they tell me, Coach, I had a 35-minute session. I only worked on the cut shot, only hitting backward of point. And those are the type of conversations we have. Because now they're more body aware of their movements. It's not just having a net and say, Coach, I feel great after the net. Coming into Zim, that word KPI was said more by the players than by me. Players at the drinks needed to know where we needed to be to achieve a certain KPI. So say, for instance, there's a KPI, there's an indicator on the document that says, if we set in a target, whoever's there in the last 7 overs, they've got to increase the run rate by 2. So if we were going at 5s, that last 7 overs needed to go at 7s. It's stuff like that. I've got a contracted player in the team in Zim, which is Masabata class. And she said, how many wickets do we need at the last 10? We got 2. We need 1 more. She asked the captain for the ball. And I promise you, she got the wicket. It was outstanding what these girls did. And I'll still keep that KPI in there with him. And I told him to challenge me as a coach. So they got to put in consistent performances for me to change those KPI numbers on the document. So it was a mixture of everything. And I think it's still in its early stages, but it's something that, I believe that the KPI document, they will achieve massive results. And the KPI document increased by 60% from Zim to Bangladesh, or from Bangladesh to Zim. 60%. That is incredible.
Yeah, so it's basically was just you sort of fine-tuning things and seeing what actually needed to be done, having the specifics. So yeah, that's good. Another question, I don't know if Alicia is going to ask this, but I'll ask it. So you get a player who wants to perform a specific role. Okay, so the player wants to be a batter. But a specific coach or your coach or whatever sees you as should be a different role. So the coach says, no, you must be a bowler. How do you deal with that? Do you let the player be a batter if the player wants to be a batter, or how do you go about that situation? Is there compromise involved? Yeah, I think that's basically my question.
Yeah, a question that happens actually a lot. It happens very often. We might have fringe players that is not sure if they want to start up taking wicket keeping, or now a batter wants to focus on bowling because now they can do 2 skills, that sort of thing. So it's quite simple for me. I think the first thing I do is I've got to ask the player what they want. What do they want to do? What do they really enjoy? Like, it mustn't seem like hard work. So that's a great way to start. And once I have that conversation going, I've always been that coach that, like, take someone, for instance, like take a Leah Jones, right, from Western Province. She sees herself as a bowler. She said that she's a bowler. And I have this conversation with her, see her in Bangladesh. We have a chat. I start drilling her about her batting. Are you taking it seriously? Are you doing that? That 5th ODI, she batted number 5. And I asked her, like, have you ever thought in your wildest dreams you're going to bat number 5 in an emerging team? She says, no, coach. I don't know. I think you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And so it's more the fact also, players are always going to have questions. They're going to be confused. Themselves. Okay, I'm back. So sometimes they might not see themselves anything but their main skill. And I think it's so important to always keep these options open for these ladies, because we don't play enough cricket for us to know actually what is it that we do, especially with the younger girls. So I say, I mean, if a player is really confused, ask what they love first. Let's work on that. But then it's important, like, I mean, if you take like Annelie Dirksen, she was an off spinner, top order batter. She's probably now the quickest bowler in our team. So there I took the initiative to say, look, you've got an X factor here. You can bounce girls back into the change room. Do you even know what that is? And she pulled the first over against an international team, which is Zimbabwe. And it got nicked. And so it's a very fine line, but you've got to try and obviously guide these girls, give them the best advice. I think that's the most important thing, is that don't try to see what's lacking in your team so that you try to fill that spot with that player, because that can really hurt a player. Sort of see what the player wants to do, and then they have to. Did I say something funny, or am I frozen?
No, it's just relatable.
No, I'm
That's the
agreeing.
thing. It's really
I
I'm
think,
agreeing.
yeah,
yeah.
I think everyone's really,
Yes.
because they've all had
Yeah. So
similar experiences.
sorry, I didn't get that.
We've
Oh,
had these
I was saying that I
experiences.
think that, yeah, they are laughing because they are relating to what you're saying, because they've had similar experiences with coaches in the past or perhaps present that try and put them in a box that they feel they don't belong.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's a tough one, eh? And to be honest, I was one of those players. And maybe that's also part of the reason why I coach now. But I think it's very important for us, if you're a player, to be aware of what you can do, and if you want to be a certain so obviously I was saying try to. Sorry, now the kids are worrying me. So little one running around
You're
the car.
just going through the
So
most
if you want a certain
there.
skill set, try and understand what's expected of that skill set. So if it's the batting average, if you got to strike at a certain rate, whether it's batting, bowling, try and achieve that. And I promise you, once you achieve that, any normal coach cannot be blind to that fact.
That is one of the biggest mistakes that coaches sometimes make, that prevents players from moving on to the next level of the game.
Thanks.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if
I
you've
think,
got that or not. Is
I
it
think
me? Am I
I've,
frozen?
no, you're not. I think I've asked everything. I think I've asked everything that I want to do. Thanks.
Okay, I'm not sure. I think maybe Denisha can't hear me. So
Sorry,
can
was there a
you?
question? I promise you, I'm getting old. I promise you.
I think
Oh,
Tara's tripping. Tara's tripping. I don't know. Don't know what she's on. Like, yeah.
no, I mean this is what happens when you do live shows via the internet in South Africa. This is what we at least we're not experiencing load shedding, because that's another thing that could have happened.
Not yet.
We shouldn't feel
Not
bad.
yet.
Zimbabwe also has load shedding.
So, Emily, you said that was all the questions that you wanted to ask. Everyone's fine, right? Nobody has a burning question that they want to ask. I'm just checking because, once we say goodbye to Denisha, it's that for the evening, and we don't want to kick ourselves for not asking all of the questions that we wanted to ask.
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
So this is a standard question. We didn't ask you the first time you were on because you were still fairly new. Which football club do you support?
Yeah.
Please don't say Liverpool.
I don't want to ask this question because we lost in the final.
Oh,
But I'm a massive
Don't
United
worry.
fan.
Don't worry. You have some support here. We all heartbroken.
You have it.
We are all heartbroken. Well, at least the three of us are. We don't know
feel
about
your
them. the
pain.
other three, but,
Yeah.
Broken.
Don't listen
No,
to
we are
don't
not.
listen to Tara's opinion is irrelevant right now.
I know it's definitely United. That's a gun football team, that eh? Gun football team.
Oh my goodness. You know that this relationship was going so well.
There's been
I
Tara,
feel like everyone who
part-
comes on the show is a Manchester United supporter.
exactly. The past few weeks, it's been just Man United because they all
Only
know what's
Manchester
up.
United.
They know what's up. They all know
Exactly.
it's the way.
They know the
So-
vibe.
It's Liverpool all the way. I'm just putting that out there.
What was
I
that?
just feel like
Liverpool?
I'm alone here right now.
I think you girls gotta take this offline, eh?
Yeah, this is about to turn into a serious argument. That's what's happening. It's a good thing you're all the way in the UK, Emily.
Why? What you gonna do to me? What?
Oh, yeah.
What are we gonna? Oh yeah, strangle me and BJJ.
I'll tell you all about that offline. I don't make threats on the show. I'm very peaceful and kind-hearted. I don't strangle people on purpose.
That's the lie she tells herself.
Yeah, I just realized I do strangle people on purpose. Oh my goodness. It has been amazing having you on the show, as always, Denisha. We love your passion and we love what you do for developing women cricketers. And I hope that other coaches and other people involved in the sport globally are watching you and listening to you, because you have such important lessons to share. And we really enjoy your insights and really enjoy having you on the show. And I hope that we can have you on for a third time, despite you being a Manchester United supporter. I'm willing to overlook that, because when it comes to cricket,
I feel
you
honored.
know exactly what you're doing. So thank you very
I feel
much. It
honored,
has
but
been such a pleasure.
yeah, thank you so much. I was really looking forward to this year. For many reasons. I think you'll obviously ask great questions, and the fact that you're all women, which is brilliant. We should have more of that. I think I've said that before too. But thank you. I really appreciate it. And whatever that you're doing in your daily basis, even whoever comes on this platform, you know what, you're doing a great job, and I just want to thank you for that day. All of this plays a massive role in whatever we're trying to achieve, or the greater good, they say. So thank you. It was a pleasure being on the show. And I'm sorry for my light issues and my sound issues and my signal issues. But
No problem.
I'm pretty sure it was like that the first time. So I'm just going to be consistent, because consistency is key.
I was gonna say, Denisha, it's not a show, like it's not a Kick Informatics Mag show with Denisha unless a light goes off. Like it's not that it has to go off, because like that's what makes it. Like it's trademark. You gotta patent that now. It's trademark Denisha.
I'm telling you, I'm going to copyright it, and then it's going to go viral. I promise you.
The new way of doing interviews. I love it. Well, have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you to everyone watching and to everyone who will watch this later. Thank you. Good evening and be safe.